Hello! Today I'm building my War Thunder tank simulator controller complete with full-size steering sticks, similar to those found in a T-34 or Sherman tank. I found enough metal lying around in my workshop to make the basic design. As with all of my previous homemade designs, I wanted to get away from using a plastic joystick and go for something a bit more realistic, using real life-size metal controls, as I did in my helicopter drone flying rig and other DIY flight simulator joysticks. The key thing with controlling a tank in a game is that you need all the vital controls immediately under your fingertips. So I've been experimenting with button configurations and controls to get the best feel and operation. I rarely design things on paper or print parts with a 3D printer, as it can be quicker and easier sometimes to cut a piece of metal with a saw than sit in front of a computer for an hour or more. The main steering sticks were cut from 20 by 40mm oval section mild steel, and long enough so that the unit can rest on the floor with all of the top controls at the right height when sitting in an average chair. The base is made from more steel sections with an 8mm bolt running through the centre, which acts as the main pivot point for the sticks. The top of each stick was then cut, bent and welded along with the steel base after a lot of careful measuring. Other smaller parts were made from aluminium. I then started to work on the electronic side of things. The brains of the unit is a Leo Bodner BU0836A, which is an excellent and easy to use USB controller, capable of connecting up to 8 variable inputs, including potentiometers and Hall effect sensors, plus 12 switched inputs, or more if you use a matrix with diodes. I devised a combined sliding and turning assembly using a 1-inch magnet with a Hall effect sensor for the throttle control. I fastened the Hall effect sensor using some thread lock into a small piece of 4mm copper tubing along with a small aluminium housing to attach it rigidly to the chassis of the unit. And for the steering, after experimenting with a potentiometer, which sort of worked okay, I ended up using a far superior and slightly more expensive rotary Hall effect sensor, which is also spring-loaded internally to reduce backlash in the servo steering levers. For controlling the tank, the main idea is that you push both sticks forward to go forward, and both back, not surprisingly, to drive the tank backwards, pulling one stick back at a time to steer the tank. And here you can see how it all works with the movements of each lever. I wired up several buttons to experiment with on this prototype. I'll be putting complete wiring diagrams for this and other tank and flight sim controllers on my Patreon channel. In this case, I made a homemade trigger from aluminium, which was a lot quicker than 3D printing the same part and a lot more solid. This operates a micro switch which you can assign to the fire button on the tank's main cannon. I added a toggle switch, which I thought might be good for the handbrake, plus 2 push buttons to assign to whatever you want, and a fader for the zoom camera control. I also bought a cheap Xbox style joystick on eBay to control the turret and gun aiming. So, time to plug everything in, load up War Thunder, and after a lot of adjusting and calibration in the game control panel, it works very well. However, I'm not a tank sim expert, so would certainly appreciate any ideas, mods, controls or button assignments that you feel would work better. So please feel free to comment below. I also need to make an additional small rig for somewhere to put your mouse and keyboard, along with adaptations to make the steering sticks work with World of Tanks, DCS and Battlefield 6. But that's another project for another day. So see you next time for more mods and gaming controllers, plus tank and flight simulation gadgets.